Hello everyone, I'm back. So the topic for this video is all about the war meta for weekend event week 116. So we all know that war deck are one of the top tier deck now, and currently one of the most played and most used by majority of from low rank to higher mythic rank. And I'm here like to discuss to you like what was like the changes, especially during the weekend event, and what will be like our substitution and how we can build like a similar deck that can we use in a our day-to-day flux farming and also for the next weekend event. So without further ado, let's begin. So as you can see, this is like the on the top weekend rank. The number one player is TS Koshan Koshan Fan, and his deck that he used during this weekend event was like a war, and he managed to do a 23 wins. And when I try to check all the top 20, seems like he's the only one that is currently war. But on the next level, from rank 21 to rank 40, it was like a mix of like war, majority of war, and nature. Like for example, Professor F and Art Van Delay, they are like a war players during this weekend event. And let's check caution fund build. So this is what the deck he built. And FYI, the main reason why war is so famous recently because of the god power slayer deals 2 damage. And before before this week, there was like war since the release of Divine Order. War was like a very famous deck at the very beginning, and using this also the god power. And during this period, there was like a lot of every week or every there was a lot of nerf that has been done to the war, especially on its cards. And recently, the last nerf done to war are the another round. So they changed the effect of another round. And if you can see on here, another round is supposed to be a +3/+3, and at the end of turn, if you are frenzy, it will give you +3/+3 randomly one of your creature cards in your hand. But they nerf it, it become now +1/+1. So technically, majority of like if you notice, majority of the players uh, uh, stop using another round. And some players feels like war because been nerfed so bad, and there was like a increase there was like a buff in nature's god power. So seems like the number of players from war seems like it's reduced a little, and there are lots of players now who are playing now nature. But war is still one of the best tier in the current meta. And let's discuss the deck here. So as you can notice here, we still have like the staple of a war card, like or the Viking, like the Vanguard Axwoman. Pyramid will be still common in high rank because of its high health. This is usually used very effectively versus aggro. So if you're like war versus war versus nature, or like that are more on like creatures in early board, this is like one of like a good stopper on that one. And as you can see there, Valka Captain is still famous since day one of DO. It's not been nerfed, that's why it's still popular in use. People are now start using OD, and Raid Revealer has been become famous now because since they nerf Thundercaller. So some player use Thundercaller, some player now use Revealer because of its protect. And as you can see, this is like currently meta. So if you check what are a must, what I can see is Shield Bearer a must, Vanguard Axwoman a must, Pyramid is a must. You can replace it with Skeleton Heavy, a 2/4 two casting cost core card. That is like a good replacement for this one. Like I mentioned before, Pyramid Warden, because of its afterlife, he has like a pro and cons. And if your opponent managed to exploit that afterlife, it might be in their favor and not yours. Okay, so and you can like do the same against with someone with Pyramid Warden. Now, out of misery, suddenly there was like this card is on and off, but seems like this player tried to bring it back, and this is like a good a +3/+8. If we check the price for that one, out of misery is currently 8. I think last time I purchased mine 3 months ago, it's like almost like $7. So there's no changes on this price. Arsenal, Vicious Ven, this is good versus like control. You can use it against your creature or deals more damage to your god. And FYI, this is like a welcome card. Nock V Warrior, I like this card, especially versus War and versus Nature, because this I consider this like a spell or like a creature remover. But FYI, you must have Blitz before you cast this one, okay? Or else there will be no Blitz. But usually I use this one if my opponent play a 3/3 Jaguar, I will use this one to kill it. So usually this is like a good remover. If especially for Nature, you play this one as your first turn, sometimes it threatens the opponent not to play their Jaguar, like their 3/3 or 2/3 or 2/2, because of its like high attack. Master Tactician, it was like famous before, and then since the before the Divine Order expansion, it became so famous, especially because it's a Viking. And last time I purchased this one, it's only $14, and I believe the price for the Master Tactician has become 53. So technically this is like a little bit cheaper now. I think last week it was $80. Now it's becoming lowering it down, so probably they're like, I believe the main reason why it start lowering it down because of the meta is shifting now more on Nature, probably. But this is still a good card, and who knows, by the next expansion there will be more Viking cards and it will become more famous. So the replacement for me for this one, if you don't have, is like you can like use any other 2 to cast with 2 attack and 3 health, like the Blade Caster. So for example, like if we go for the Blade Caster, yeah, here the Blade Caster here, this is like a core card. You should must have it. And the good thing about this, every time it attacks, it's like it's adding more health to itself, like +1 health. So if this become unstoppable, you can have like a 10 health. So Warmonger is must have. This is like a core but epic current. And Tavern Brawler is also good. It's just a core. Valkas Captain is, I think it's getting more expensive now because it's one of the getting famous. As you can see, Valka is now 9. Previously at the very beginning of the expansion it's just like $1 or less. Now it's getting famous now. OD, if you don't have OD, you can raid reveal or anything that is 3 to cast. You can use even the Thundercaller here. Raid Revealer, it's a welcome. Cheaper, it's cheaper. It's like literally a similar casting cost and ability as Valkas, OD Valkas. It's just like OD as a legend. He has like a backline and a ability. So Scythe of Harvest, my replacement for this one, like if you check my similar deck build, I use Blade of Sticks here. And because this one, the Scythe is like, it's very expensive. I believe it's like same price as the Pyramid Warden, around 100 plus USD. He used Viking Longship, so probably because the nerf of another round, we replaced the Viking Longship with this one and use Iena, so that's one. You can replace this one with any card because technically if you compare with the other top with 20 wins, like Under Juarez, the Professor, and Art Van Lee, as you can notice, everything, the highest casting cost is 4. Majority are squeezed in 1 casting cost and 2 casting costs. Some are like 3 to 4 on 3 casting costs and like that. And as you can notice, they're like identical. Some players still use another round, as you can see here. And and they're like difference between 1 cost and 2 cost minion. Some are using Rider, some are using Beam Sentry, some are use still like the Athenian Archer. So now if you want Swashbuckler, you can replace that one with Athenian Archer. So and in my version, this is what I use currently now in my day-to-day gods. And as you can notice, it's like a mix and matches, right? I don't have those Swashbuckler, but I have this Leviathan Hunter to get one. So if we check the price of Leviathan Hunter, it's $5 and Swash is $16. So last time I buy with Swashbuckler, I think it's $6. Now it's getting more famous now because of current meta. So prices are up and go depending on the popularity and of course the price of the Ethereum. So if you don't want Out of Misery, you can replace it with Deadly Arsenal, and you don't need to use Sharpen here. Skype, you can automatically use Blade of Sticks, and the main advantage of War is compared with the other because of the God Power that deals 2 damage, is especially versus control like Sleep or Deadboard Pipe. You just because heal life is little, there are like only few cards that heals a god, and this one is like a free 2 cast every turn. So imagine this one can literally lower, and even on the late game and you're running out of cards, you can still continue doing Slayer. So the goal here is cast a lot of minion at early round and then use your God Power as much as possible. But if you're facing with same like War versus Nature with other aggressive deck, my tip here is very simple. Try to do a board control and then attack if necessary. There are some players I noticed playing War is just like doesn't take board control. They just attack, and doesn't like matter. There's like a pros and cons on that one, on that kind of playstyle. But in my personal experience, controlling first is a must, and then attack later. But if versus control, I don't care about I will just attack as soon as possible. I don't care if he kills my creature, but as long as I can damage as much as possible, good. And then on the later part, like turn 6 and 7, I will just use my hero power until, because this is like literally a powerful God Power now. Luckily, they never nerf this one yet. But if they nerf this one, I think War will be totally a dead one, unless they bring back the Onslaught or the Blitz God's Power. But for now, this is like a good meta for now for War. And for beginners, mid-level, you can take this opportunity to it. And if you notice, if in my deck I always like use this one, and I managed to win versus other nature, even with the sleep control. So for example, this other deception, this is sleep deception. Like if I check this one, you see has Demogorgon on it, and I managed to win those games using the. So yeah, so thank you so much. If you have like questions, kindly leave a comment. Kindly please subscribe and like my videos and support me, so I will continue making videos about gun and chains. And thank you so much, and have a nice day. Goodbye.